Yeah, sure.
Did you just say we have to know everything about each topic?
Look, I would say that you should have some basic ability to talk about anything, because really, that's what life's all about.
So would it be like the question, sorry, you asked me, do people own the houses or do they rent? Like that was like, I don't know the answer. I really did. So I said, I don't know the answer.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. If you don't know the answer, express that and then say, because I've only lived here for a few years, or I haven't really taken that much notice. You know, just don't stop. That's the main thing.
Okay.
So, for example, if you're asked about TV, please don't say, I don't watch TV, and stop. All right. For me personally, it's really just stops the conversation completely. I don't know why there's a heart on my screen. I didn't put that up. Can you see the heart?
Yes, we can. We'll leave it. It's natural. It wants to be there.
I don't know where it's come from.
That's okay. That's your love showing through speaking.
Ooh, I've got a little heart ghost on my computer, I think. So instead of just saying, I don't watch TV, how about we extend our answer and we say something like, personally, I don't like watching TV. And this is me. I don't have one. I don't have a TV because I really dislike the noise and the low standard of many shows. And if I want to watch something, I'll watch it on the laptop. And usually I'll watch a documentary or a movie. This is what you should do. Instead of just stopping, please extend your answer. And of course, it takes imagination. Also, don't forget, in spoken English, we usually use contractions. For example, here I've got, I'll watch. We don't lengthen it. We'll use contractions. So, for example, I'll instead of I will, where instead of we are. So it's important to practice using your contractions and pronouncing them correctly. I know some people have difficulties with the pronunciation of contractions, so you're better off just walking around the house and practicing them. Even if everyone thinks you're crazy, it's your future, so just go for it. Now, things not to say. Ooh.
We've got some questions, but I'll interrupt you because I'm just trying to keep up.
Go for it. Go for it.
Box. You keep going. I will interrupt you real soon.
Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to go through them at the moment. Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to put up some things that I would advise you not to say. I don't know anything about that. Don't forget, if you do say this, put an extension onto it and say, because, but, however, it's worthwhile thinking about. Well, maybe. Extend it. Just don't stop it. I don't know anything about that. Also, the favourite. That's all I can think of. There's nothing to add to the end of that. Please prepare yourself for this exam. I can't think of anything else. There's another thing that I'd like you all not to use, as well as I'm not interested in that unless you can extend your answer again, because I usually don't play or watch sports. I prefer to read and cook. So this is what I'm saying. You have to use your imagination and prepare yourself for the speaking exam. Now we're going to be talking about supporting our opinions. How can I extend? How can I support my opinions? Well, as with essays, we usually introduce our main topic and then we'll use supporting ideas to express ourselves. And it's exactly the same case with speaking. We want to express ourselves. So, for example, when you're listening to the examiner, listen for keywords in the question and don't go off the topic, please. So I've got a topic here and I've answered this, and the topic is parties and celebrations. Whoa, I've just copied and pasted too much there. So let me just...
People, while you're dealing with that, Ross,
yep.
Thank you very much, everybody, for your wonderful comments. Some people have given me an 8.5. Some people have scored me a 9. So thank you all very much.
How much are you paying the 9s?
Thank you very much. But a lot of people have also asked, can we do a demo with one of our viewers? I'm so sorry. We won't have enough time to do a demo with the viewers. And in all honest opinion, Roz put me up for a game. So it wasn't... It wasn't deliberate. I had no idea we were going to take it this way. So yeah, that's some of the comments because it's taken me too long to respond. Thank you all very much.
So can I continue?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. So I've chosen the topic parties and celebrations, and the examiner has asked me, could you tell me about which occasions Australians like to celebrate at home? And my answer to this would be Australians love to celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, and the new year in their homes. The celebration may be anything from a backyard barbecue to a dinner party for friends and family. And I'll put up the answer here so that you can all see it. All right. Then the examiner may ask me a little bit more difficult question. Is socializing important for our well-being? Now, what would happen if you don't know the word well-being? Just guess it from socializing is important. Okay. Why is it important? And my answer to this, well, personally, I think it depends on your personality. Some people may be very outgoing, whereas others, whoops, I've just done a bad thing there. I've just deleted something from my wife. Anyway, I've just deleted something. Anyway.
Shall I tell you what we can see?
Yep, is socializing important?
For our well-being, yes.
Yeah. So I might say something like, well, I think it's extremely important. However, some people may be very outgoing, whereas other people may be a little bit shyer. But generally, socializing and mixing with friends and families makes us more conversationalists. And also, researchers say that it saves our mental health. So yes, it's important.
So here's a quick comment for one of our viewers. It's and Rachel, thank you. She says it sounds like frequency word usage is important as well. Sounds like frequency word usage is important as well.
And
unless Rachel, you want to elaborate on that, and we'll come back to you. So we'll just so we don't misunderstand it. Roz?
Yeah. Sorry, I just had someone else speaking in my ear. So the next question could be, so do you think that celebrations have become over-commercialized nowadays? And of course, I would... Yep.
Sorry.
You're right.
I think I've got the wires confused here. We had one of our viewers comment, it sounds like frequency word usage is important as well.
Uh-huh.
Is that right?
It depends what she means by frequency. Does she mean like frequencing adverbs, etc.?
Okay, so we'll come back. So Rachel, can you please respond back to us on this one?
Like firstly, secondly, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah, and then.
Yeah.
We use them in natural speech.
Another quick question.
Yep.
How many questions do they ask in speaking exam, or is it about timing?
Absolutely about timing.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
That's for you, Mustafa. You can keep going now, Ross.
Okay, thanks. So this is the last question I've got. Do you think that celebrations have become over-commercialised these days? And if this is going to fit in, or I might have to go over a page, can you see the whole answer there or not?
Let me say, the last word I can say is, you think that celebrations, do you think I've got the question, commercialized nowadays? Where's the response?
Okay, no response down there yet. Okay, so.
Okay, maybe.
I'll go over to the next page.
Yeah, if you can take it over to the next page. That's it.
So can you see that now?
Beautiful, beautiful.
Okay. Now, naturally, if someone asked me this question, I would say absolutely. The focus today is usually about consumerism, more so than what the day is actually about. For example, Mother's or Father's Day, the pressure applied through commercial channels of the media for us to buy expensive gifts, when in fact most parents would enjoy breakfast in bed, a hug, and a wonderful day spent with their loved ones. That should have a D on the end too. Loved ones. So this would be the typical way that you would answer these questions. Instead of just giving one-word answers, instead of just saying, oh, absolutely, and then stopping, extend your answer. That's really important.
Okay, awesome. So can I cut you off there? Sorry,
go for it.
Millions of questions today. We've got one from Badfin, especially in part 2. Can we say, that's all I can say at the end of our speech? Can we say that phrase, that's all I can say?
I would not advise saying that.
Okay, so that's for you, Badfin.
It's important in part 2 that you have enough to say for a full 2 minutes. And don't forget that the examiner will stop you when the time's up.
Okay, so here's another one. Saval, regarding the second section, so it's great to see the viewers on the same section. Some trainers say that we do not have to address all the prompts, and we can even talk about whatever we want about the main topic. Can you just clarify?
Well, generally, you should address all the prompts and talk about whatever you want to. You know, you've got up to 2 minutes to do this. So, yes, do address all the prompts.
So, and then someone's come along and said they recommend that we should talk until the examiner stops us. Is that right?
I just said that, yep.
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
You're right. Bad student.
Well, you know what?
No, I understand. You're looking at all the chats.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult.
Badfin, there's another one. Badfin's got another one. Can we also ask the question, can you make it clear to the examiner?
What?
The question, obviously. So can the candidate, the test taker, make a comment saying, can you make it clear?
Well, the correct words would be to ask them, could you please rephrase that question?
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Yep, you can keep going. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. So I've given you some examples of what you should do as far as expanding your answers and the words that you should not say, like, I don't know. That's all there is to say about that. Take those out of your vocabulary and please don't use them. It's not something that you and I would say to each other, Saval, naturally. You know, if we were having a discussion, I wouldn't say, and that's all I've got to say, unless I was really annoyed with you.
Then I'd know I'd be in trouble. I think to end that, like if I go back to our practice one that we did, the housing one, when I was responding to you, I'm just trying to rethink how I did that, how I stopped. I think it's the way I said it, the way I expressed it, my intonation. Like I think right.
Yeah. So that's what we're coming up to now with the stress and intonation. And like I knew that you were coming to a stop because your intonation went down.
Coming closer to a full stop. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So can I just interrupt before we get into stress and intonation? Rachel's question, she's just clarified on the frequency. She had a question about should we be using frequency more often? So she meant frequency adverbs. Yes, usually, normally, often, every now and then. Should we use these more often in the test?
Use them naturally. There's no such thing as using something, you know, because we should use it. We should use them naturally. If you listen to Saval and I speaking, we don't use them for every sentence. We use them as we feel, as they fit the sentence. That's the more natural way. I don't sort of say, well, firstly, Saval, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, secondly, blah, blah, blah. It's not a natural conversation. And this is about speaking, and it should be natural.
Yeah. Are you keeping your whiteboards, like at the end, can we show your whiteboards again so they can take photos of them?
Well,
are we deleting them?
No, I'm onto the second one now, so I can flip back through them. No problem.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we'll go to the next section.
Yes. So now we're going to be talking about stress and intonation. Super important for the English language. Here we go. Make it small. Now, a lot of people don't understand what stress and intonation mean or why we need to use it. One very easy way is to use your dictionaries and look at the stress marks written in the dictionaries in the phonetics, and also listen to the online pronunciation of a word as well. For example, in British English, if you want to stick with British English, or American English if you prefer that. And I've got an example here, which is a really good example. So I want to use stress first up, and it's the emphasis on a syllable or a word. And it's important because it can differentiate between the same word. For example, today I could say, Saval, your new hairstyle is perfect.
You can't see it. I've got little piggies. Thank you.
Or I could say, we need to perfect this article before publishing. There we go. The same word, different meanings, different stress. So it's important to understand the correct stress in a sentence. Now, another example I've got is to also, if I want to stress which word is important, I could say, what did you take? Why did you take it? I should say, versus, why did you take that? See, I've got the different stress on why I want a reason, whereas with that, I'm talking about an object. So that's why you need to use your stress correctly.
Okay, so we've got a question. We've got a few questions. And what I'm doing is trying to keep up. I've just opened up my own Word document and copying and pasting because the chat box keeps going down, down, down. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to write the answers here, so I hope you can all listen. From Ulash, the first question, and this is backtracking. How many times could we ask the examiner if we didn't understand a question? Sorry, could you repeat again? Is there a rule on this one? Do you know?
No, there's no rule about that.
No rule.
You can ask, if you genuinely don't understand and you haven't heard even keywords to give you an idea, ask as many times as you want.
Okay. Another question from Engin. I wonder that if you can't answer part 2 point questions, I mean, you should say, if you don't understand it, does it reduce my score? So if you're not answering the part 2 questions, I believe.
If you go off topic, yes, of course, that's going to affect your score.
Okay. Here comes another one. What's the difference between absolutely and exactly? That's from Kerim. What's the difference in meaning between absolutely and exactly? Maybe a sentence?
Yeah, you know, so for example, I used absolutely. I could have said exactly. I could have interchanged that. It's no problems. It also depends on the sentence structure, but yep, I could interchange it with my example. No worries.
Excellent. And one on stress. So a viewer has asked us, stress for verbs in the second syllable in English generally is right. Oh God, I don't know the answer to this one. Stress for verbs in the second syllable in English is generally right. And there's a question mark. Does that make sense for you?
No.
It didn't make sense for me either.
For example, if you think of a verb like run, eating, you know, running, where's the stress? Running, eating. I'm putting the stress on the first part of the verb, aren't I? Eating. I'm eating an apple.
So we've got some viewers that are responding to each other's questions. I love it, right? The chat box
Great.
is amazing. So someone
saves me a bit of work.
It does. So someone
just as long as it's correct.
I'll just read out Idam's comment. She said, no, the stress might fall to the different syllables. So I think it goes on to if it's the first word, second word, and so forth. So
that's right.
I think Idam's on the ball here, isn't she?
Well, the thing is, you know, like it depends if you're putting it in, as I said, you know, if you're putting in ing on the end, you usually stress the first part. If you said something like, I like to eat apples. I like to eat apples. Where's the stress coming? It's coming on the noun, apples. See? So it all depends on where it is placed in the sentence.
Ros, just out of your expertise, just out of your knowledge as well, we've got a question here from Banfin saying, you know, in the second part, when the examiners at times cut off the sentence of the test taker, is this a negative thing or is this...
Absolutely not. And this was something I was going to come to at the end today and explain to everyone, don't take it personally, all right? IELTS has very, very strict timing. And if the examiner cuts you off, it's nothing against you, it's the timing. And we'll go into that a little bit more right at the end as well.
It's already 35 past, so keep going because I've interrupted you.
Okay, so now we're coming up to intonation. What is intonation? It's the way that our voices rise and fall. And I often think of it like a wave. As we start off, we're up. And then as we come down towards the end, we're coming down on the end of the wave. And it can also change the meaning and support meaning. For example, if I said, really, my intonation is going up and that's expressing excitement. Whereas if I said, really, I've got no interest whatsoever. So my intonation has gone down, really. So these are some points that you need to understand with intonation.
Just how, because there's a question here from one of our viewers, how can we improve our intonation? What do we do to get a better intonation? Do you know?
Look, honestly, what I generally advise students to do is to listen to podcasts, interesting podcasts that you're interested in, and pause them and repeat them back exactly the way that you've heard them. Also, walking around the house reading passages out aloud is a nice way of using your skills as well. But yeah, listening and repeating.
Excellent.
That's the easiest way.
I like that, walking around a house. Now that we've got the curfew.
Everyone's got plenty of times to do it. Now, one thing I do want to put up here is that with your intonation, it's important not to put anyone to sleep, including the examiner, with a monotone voice. I didn't really like that topic because I didn't know what to talk about. It is really monotone. So give it your personality. you know, let your personality come through your speaking and your words. And if you could see my hands, I'm a person who likes to speak with my hands. Use them. If that's how you feel comfortable, use them when you're speaking. And don't forget to pronounce your words clearly. Don't speak at 1,000,000 miles an hour or too slow. Just keep it in the middle.
When I just want to interrupt here. When I go out and do some seminars and talks to high school students or university students, I love explaining about speaking, because then there's the section where robotic. You should not sound like a robot is the example I provide, and it makes so much sense, doesn't it? Not to sound so rigid, but keeping it.
That's right.
A quick question. From Kedem, he's asking, do punctuation marks change our confessions? Confessions, I think, might mean conversation. So using punctuation marks in our speech.
What, to actually say punctuation mark, or
no,
to pause naturally?
I think to pause naturally. And if it's
pausing naturally is quite normal, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you just listen to that, pausing is quite normal. Pause, isn't it? Because I've done a question tag there at the end. And we know that we generally have a comma in there if we're writing it. So no, it's very natural to use a pause.
I've left some big questions to the end for you. So I don't know, how far are we into the session now?
When's the time up?
It's 3:40. So
okay.
We've gone 40 minutes into it.
Okay, I'm going to start a new page because we're going to talk about blushing or excessive sweating, which can be a problem for any of us. And we're coming up towards the end. Don't worry.
Wonderful.
So everyone at some point in their life, for example, myself, if I'm going to the dentist, I'll start sweating hours before I have the appointment. So we all feel nervous at some point in our life, but please remember, the speaking examiner wants you to feel relaxed. They're going to come out and greet you with a big smile, not a snarl. And so they want you to be relaxed when you come into the room. And they also want you to express yourself to the best of your ability. So try not to feel nervous. I know it's difficult, but please try. And this is a little bit of advice about some things like if you blush or if you sweat excessively when you're nervous. And if you do blush easily and you know that, I would advise you to put a scarf around your neck, and you can use a summer one or a winter one, it doesn't matter, or wear a high neck shirt or top, so that way in your mind you know that they can't see my redness, they can't see me blushing, because normally it starts and it just works its way up your neck. Something else that's unfortunate is some people do sweat excessively. Please use a good antiperspirant on the day. Wear dark colours like black or navy so it doesn't show the sweat. Don't wear tight-fitting clothing. Now, this is something I've heard, Botox. I've heard it helps, but do get professional medical advice before you try this, all right? But apparently, if Botox is injected into the sweat glands, it stops it. Interesting. And then you could take some tissues, handkerchiefs, or wet wipes with you, okay? And just keep yourself happy.
I just want to interrupt on that last comment there. As a test centre, we provide tissues. Nowadays, we provide gloves and masks for everybody, but we strongly advise you to bring your own masks. But with the tissues, we provide them to you because we have to check inside them before they can walk in. So
that's right.
Don't bring your own tissues. We'll give them to you.
Okay, I'll take off with you. I'll say, get some. We can change that easily.
The test centre provides. That's what you can say if you like.
Okay.
Just so it's clear. Great questions, great quick answers. I'm just copying it down to my Word document.
Okay, no worries. Well, I'm just about finished. Just this last little bit about some of the questions that you asked me before.
Yeah.
For example, I just wanted to say that I'm just copying this so that I can put it up for everyone. Make this box a little bit bigger so it can all fit in. Don't worry if the examiner stops you. Examiner's IELTS speaking test has a very strict timing. Why? It's in order to provide a standardized exam throughout the world. And this timing ensures that all candidates are treated equally and provided with the same time to complete the exam. And feel free, if you need to ask for repetition, say something like, could you please repeat that question? Please don't say what. You know, the examiner says the question, you say, what? You know, put it politely, please. And if you need something to be rephrased, again, could you please rephrase that question? That's it. That's it. That's
Excellent.
what I've got for today.
So, not yet. I've got beautiful questions coming your way.
Oh.
Okay, guys. So, and just before we go off, I promise them we'll show all the slides again.
Okay, so I'll go back to number one.
If you go to number one, so everybody, this is number one. And the questions I want to quickly, someone has asked us saying, can we use your questions? Can we share them? Ladies and gentlemen, all of these are owned by Roz. She works on these like a student with homework. She prepares these. They're not official. So they are personal use, and she's allowing us to take photos. They're not something that you can, I strongly wouldn't recommend putting it up onto your websites or anything like that, because they're not official. Official information you can use is from IELTS.org website or idpieltsturkey.com. Please use them with your students or for your own learning, but these are more like the tips and tricks. So I hope I've answered that question. Would you agree, Ross? Because this
absolutely
is your golden piece. Okay, can we move to the second page? I think everyone's got the first one.
Okay.
Please, and then they can take some photos of this one. So these are more or less tips and tricks for you to work on. You've got a little star here. Did you add that star?
I don't know where they're coming from. I've got no idea. And if I tried to do it myself, I couldn't do it.
Love it. Okay. First question, because we were too busy talking about this. What's the most common mistakes a test taker makes in speaking? What are the common mistakes they make?
Common mistakes are not being prepared. All right. I see no excuses when this is your future. You have to prepare yourself. And I'm just going to flip that over to the third page while I'm chatting. So really, yes, there's no excuses. I think you just really need to use your imagination. And I'm just going to put something else up quickly here, right at the end. And
yeah, love it.
Use your imagination. Inform yourself beforehand. This is your future. Read daily. Listen to podcasts. Watch documentaries of interest. And speak to others. It's important. It's not my future, it's your future.
Yep.
What else, Sabal? I've got a heart now.
Yeah, you do. I love it. I love it. Okay, I'm just trying to keep up with what I'm at. Does it make a difference what we wear to the speaking test? Do we impress examiners with this? Do you know?
I don't think they really care.
Yeah, as a test taker.
I think it's more important as a test taker to have something on that's comfortable. If you feel comfortable, then you do your best. Whereas if you've got something on that you're not comfortable in wearing, you feel self-conscious about that.
So sorry, Evrim, you've asked your question twice. Normally we cannot use phrasal verbs in writing parts. Can we use phrasal verbs in speaking parts? Ros?
Really?
Sorry, what was your answer, Ros?
Well, phrasal verbs, why can't you use phrasal verbs? Why not? It's a normal part of speech. That's why they're in the English dictionary. Phrasal verbs. Of course you can use them.
So here's a question that I can respond myself. They said, can we take off our mask during the speaking exam? As a test centre, we highly recommend you keep your mask on, please. You're in the same room as the examiner. There is the social distancing in place. There's over exceeding that place. Our examiners also have a mask, but the examiner may bring it down so you can read their lips. But for the test taker, please keep your masks on. And this is totally for all our health and safety. So as a test centre, we require a mask to be placed on at all times by the test taker. What would exactly, here we go, oh God, done that one. So they said, if I made a mistake when I was speaking and I realised I made a mistake and I went back and fixed it, would that be a problem?
Of course not. Do it.
Not a problem.
Look, no, we do that naturally even as native speakers. We think, oops, that was wrong. Yeah.
And when I don't know the words meaning in the question, can I ask for the meaning from the examiner?
You can ask for clarification of a word. You can't ask for a whole phrase or a sentence to be explained.
Yeah. Furkan Bey has got a question in Turkish. Furkan Bey has said, my friend speaking got cut off, but that's due to the timing. When the timing is up, he'll get cut off. Ros already explained that one. Ulash has asked, is there any plans for taking IELTS in Turkey, basically on the internet or from home? So there's a new product called IELTS Indicator. Just continue following our Instagram, because this week I think I might do a special session just to give you information about IELTS Indicator. I'll give you more information about that, Ulash and the rest of the viewers. But please just refrain yourself from registering at the moment. Just wait, because the registration's open this week. What would we expect to happen if we didn't have enough time to express our ideas clearly, is from Ahmed. So if we didn't have enough time, basically.
Like in part 2?
Probably.
Yeah, I think that you should be prepared enough and you would have practiced enough at home to plan everything in 1 minute and produce what you want to say for up to 2 minutes. So you should be able to express yourself.
But okay, and as a test take, I mean, just before we did an example with me. I didn't know about it, but if I had known, I would have been really excited and stressed. How do we overcome this excitement, knowing that I've got a speaking test? Any tips for that one, Ros?
Look, the main thing is to just go in there and say, I'm going to show this person what my skills are, and I'm very proud of them. You know, it's the, you know, sort of mentality of boosting up your own performance, and I can do this. You know, it's really important.
Yeah, and a question has come from, I think it's Dedan, saying, how do I improve my IELTS accent? If you don't mind, I want to respond
an
to this
IELTS
one.
Accent.
An accent is something that belongs to you. Basically, I strongly recommend saying, don't lose your accent. This is something that's personal. It's yours. Because there's lots of accents out there, and IELTS, that's why it's named IELTS. It's an international English language testing system where all accents are acceptable. Would you like to add anything to that, Ros?
The only thing that is important is your pronunciation, because that comes in on the descriptors. You know, it's, you know, uses a wide range of pronunciation features, is effortless to understand, etc. So you must have clear speaking and use your intonation and stress, and the examiner can understand you. Don't mumble.
Okay. And we've got how do examiners evaluate task 3? I don't know if you can answer any questions about evaluation, but
I can't.
You can't. Okay. So because they said, what advice would you give about task 3? Again,
do your preparation beforehand. You know, like when you're researching some of the old IELTS topics, for example, on part 2, and there's many available online, research that and then research beyond that. You know, like what could happen in the future about this topic? What happens now? What happens in my country? What could happen to my neighbours? Think about it in the broad sense.
Yeah. And just a couple of closing off questions that I'm going to respond is, shall we use gestures? Yes, we are hand people anyway.
Yeah, look at me. I've always got my hands up in the air.
And I always advise, keep a big smile on your face. I think that's a big bonus before you enter the room. Basically, will IDP provide us a mask before the test? Ladies and gentlemen, because of the new decision made by the government, the masks are being handed to us from the government. So we are very short on masks. We can't buy them. We used to be able to buy them. We advise everyone to bring their own masks, please, please, please, because I've got very minimal numbers at the test center. My team will call you anyway to remind you about that. So will we hold a session for writing and reading? Will we hold sessions for writing and reading, Ros?
Oh, will we what? We've got 3 sessions coming up, haven't we?
We've got 3 big sessions coming up, and I think I've just completed all my questions.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, that was very, I was busy with the questions. Ladies and gentlemen, for the past 2 sessions, we've had polling. We've had a survey come up at the end of our sessions, but today we won't be doing that because last week when we did the polling, the next topic was chosen quite heavily, and I think it might interest all of you, is academic writing part 2. If you realize I didn't say task because the name has changed, it's part 2 is what's been very, very popular. And it looks like the next 3 sessions, right, Ros?
Absolutely.
There'll be a series about writing task 2. I'll call it task again. Arkadaşlar, I'll just translate to Turkish. Geçtiğimiz son 2 sunumlarımızda sizleri seçtiriyorduk. Hani önümüzdeki sınav sunumlarımız, eğitimimiz ne hakkında olsun diye. Academic Writing Task 2 seçildi. Bunu tek bir seansta yapamayacağız. Tek bir session yapamayacağız. O yüzden 3'e böldük. Önümüzdeki 3 eğitimlerimiz Writing 2. bölüm hakkında olacak. Akademik için. Ve birincisini kaçırırsanız hiç üzülmeyin. İkinciye hani katılmayayım, kaçırdım olayı yapmanıza gerek yok. Zincirleme değil. İkinciyi izleyebilirsiniz. 3'üncüyü izleyebilirsiniz. Hani bundan üzülmeyin ama 3 ayrı section'da ayrı ayrı bilgileri kazanacaksınız. So I've just said in Turkish that if you miss out on the first section or the first session of writing task or part 2, don't be sad. There's basically, you can catch on to the second session or the third session. So it doesn't roll over into, there's separate topics that we've got for them. How can we get information about the dates? Get onto our Instagram, IDP IELTS Turkey. I've got a wonderful marketing team in the back end of this, and they'll get it all up again. Register through. Is it for free? It's always for free with IDP, most of our sessions. So basically, we're just trying to keep it as natural as we possibly can. We're listening to you to say, what do you need? Let's provide this for you. Ros, end of another session. How do you feel?
Absolutely. Yeah. I hope it's helped everyone, and it was great chatting to you too again, Saval, and I'm sorry to make you my guinea pig first up.
Likewise, Ros, but it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very, very much for your time. And guess what? It's our record. We've got 57 minutes. That's what we've done today.
Wow. But you know what? I've got a ghost because someone is putting these hearts and everything on my whiteboard.
I'm glad they love hearts. But,
so it's really, really funny. It's really funny. And thank you. Oh, see, there they go. Look.
And look, that's wonderful because we've got people saying here, we love you. Ros, we really like you. So there's lots of people. Everybody, thank you very much. Have a wonderful Sunday and a beautiful, fantastic new week. See you Tuesday, Salı akşamı saat 19'da. Tuesday evening is our first session of writing part 2 at 7 p.m. See you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.